Here we go, Tim. The largemouth bass.
Ooh, she's a big old bitch.
Okay, we're going to do it. I'm actually a little afraid of this one because I'm intimidated by what you know about fishing, about largemouth bass.
Yeah.
So, just what you know about fishing for them, right? I mean, we're going to get into other things here that you're going to know, and I think it's going to be great back and forth. But this is also, it's funny how we introed the podcast. So if you're just coming to this as the fishing topic all by itself, it's funny because the larger version of the podcast, we were joking around how we're going to get on all the controversial shit, right?
Right.
And now I think the reason why I've been avoiding this one kind of avoiding it is because I think this is the biggest knowledge base fish out there. Like, I don't think from everything that I've seen, there's nothing bigger fishing wise on the internet than the largemouth bass.
No, for sure. I mean, it's the biggest sport fish in America in the tournaments and everything. Like, people have been researching this fish for eternity, and so many people. When you go down south, you don't see a lot of boats that aren't bass boats.
Holy shit. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. When you are up here, you see all the different boats that we have.
Oh yeah.
Down there, it's rare to see something that's not a bass boat.
Holy fuck, that's so weird to think about.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So I mean, and on that note, actually, then we're gonna mix it up like we always do. We're just gonna do our like conversational learning thing that Really FTV is built on. But with that, I know there's probably like just podcasts that are just dive in. Well, there are just bass fishing podcasts. I mean, that's all there is to it, right?
Oh, for sure.
But they're tapped into, bass pros in different ways and the sport of it. Now, all that stuff. And we're being more broad as Really FTV. We're being more broad. But we're going to go about this one Really FTV style, where we're going to talk about the species of largemouth bass and mix it in with your experience. And like, we're just going to do that. And I think that's probably why I've been avoiding it. Cause I wasn't sure how to be unique about it. Like, I thought we were just going to be regurgitating a bunch of shit that people have already heard. And of course we're going to just do the thing.
You can't get around it.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. There's almost nothing new out there. It's just everybody talking about it. But then when we're talking about our own experiences and our own personal opinions and stuff on there, that makes it a little bit different. Also, I think we're bringing a little bit of a dynamic to it where, like, you're less seasoned as a bass fisherman, but you've done all the research. And I've been working on a water heater all day and just came here to be like, what's up? Let's talk. So it's kind of a different dynamic where I've done absolutely no preparation except for hydrated a little bit. And you have basically just came out with like all the information. So I think it could be an interesting back and forth as well. In that sense, where you're like, here's everything that's down, and I can just be like, well, here's all the things I know.
Right. And here's my lived experience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think this is the perfect dynamic that, again, Really FTV's built on is like, is that it's like, here's some life experience. Here's some research, conversational learning. Here we go.
Well, and I think ours is like more like the foundation of it too, like the starting blocks.
For sure.
Of where a lot of the other stuff that you hop into their fishing stuff, it's almost like it's a lot of it's over your head where you're trying to, I picture some of the other stuff. Like if you're a beginner to novice in bass fishing and you don't know a lot of what's going on, you hop into those podcasts. I think some of that's like hopping into like the third season of Game of Thrones.
Right.
Like, who's that?
Right.
What did she say? What does that thing do? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What is he holding right there?
Yeah.
What is he going to do with it? How does he use that thing? And instead they're just like, well, this one's a little bit different than the old ones. And I'm just like, that's a new one then?
Right.
So, it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's what I hope for too. Because again, this is going to be about the species, but you can't get away from the fishing because that's the point. Like in the end, all the research, because like we did one on armored catfish, right? It's just like we're just doing I barely nicked my arm, my boom arm here.
Oh no, I thought that was a noise in the background here. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Oh God, because of your water heater's noise. Anyways.
Oh yeah, dude. Sorry. This is a little bit off topic. I gotta tell you, I just replaced I've been doing research and figured everything out, and I replaced the element on my water heater because it was blowing the breaker and it was like making these gnarly noises, right? And tonight, I got everything done. I screwed it on and everything, and we're getting ready to do the podcast, and I'm walking up the stairs, and as I'm walking up the stairs, the coffee pot that I have on gets to that point where there's barely any water left, and and I just oh shit, what? And then I realized it was the coffee pot, but for a second I shit my pants. I was like, no,
because you've been freaked out for a day and a half, 2 days,
and you're because you got to drain it and do all this other stuff, and it makes those airs getting into the pipe when you're draining it out. It does those kind of noises, and everything's sealed up, and it shouldn't be leaking, and it shouldn't do any of that. So when I heard that noise, I just freaked out. But anyways, so yeah, when you made that noise, I'm still a little bit on edge here. I literally finished up with the water heater, the finishing touches right before we recorded.
Oh, nice.
And then I had quite a bit of caffeine, so I'm a little bit on edge. And then that noise, I was like, oh, Jesus.
All right. Well, Tim, yeah, again, this is going to be about the species. So here's how we kind of kick it off. Oh, first of all, I want to thank U.S. Fish and Wildlife for the majority of this information, but it is a largemouth bass after all. I popped around to a bunch of other reputable sources to get information, but a big chunk of this came from U.S. Fish and Wildlife. To prove this is about the species, Tim, we have a scientific name on our hands. Do you have the document open? Because I'm going to struggle my way through this, and then usually you figure it out. I don't know.
I don't know.
Did you study Latin in college or what? Micro...
Mickle Bicklebrink. It's opening now.
Micropaturus salmodies. What the fuck is that, dude? The scientific name of the largemouth bass is Micropaturus salmodies.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close.
Salmoids?
Micropterus salmoids? Micropterus salmoids?
That sounds
salmoids?
better. That sounds better.
Yeah. I don't know.
Some of these you can read into and you get you kind of go, oh, okay, probably means that. This I'm looking at and I'm going, what the fuck?
Well, sometimes when I say stuff too, I just say it where it feels the best when I say it. It doesn't, I have no idea if I'm saying it right. It just, that's what feels the best. I know some words are actually it's actually pronounced Micropaterius, where you're just like, why, dude?
But why?
I don't like that one.
It feels weird coming out of my mouth.
I don't like it at all. I'm going to say it like this.
So that's its scientific name. I don't have any insight into that at all, because as salmonids, nothing. Didn't go down that road, but there it is. It's also one word. Largemouth is a word. I did not know that for a long time. It's not that I didn't know it, but it's one of those things that every time I would write it or every time I would write it down, I would question it.
Oh yeah. That's one of those things where I've never put the space and I've always seen it like that. And I never really thought about it, which it's it is weird because it's 2 words, but when it's a title, I guess it changes the rules or whatever.
I don't know, but that was it.
Yeah,
that was why I put it on there, because largemouth bass. I've also heard it sort of like that, but like largemouth bass, like
right.
large mouth bass, large mouth bass. I don't know, man. There's just ways to say it, and I've always sort of fucked it up a little bit because I've been questioning it, and then I did the research, and I'm like, no, it's largemouth bass. Like,
right,
largemouth is one word, bass is the second half.
Yeah. I literally never thought about it until just now. So it is weird.
Yeah.
But I suppose that stops you from putting the emphasis on weird spots.
Large mouth bass.
Yeah, it's a large mouth bass. What did you just say?
Did you say you caught a big mouth bass? What the fuck is a
so you caught a mouth bass, but it was like a big one of the species? What's a mouth bass? Large, one of them large ones.
Large ones.
Oof, I don't like that.
So they're usually dark green on top with that kind of stripe in the middle is with pulses in it, right? Like, how would you describe that stripe? Because it's so distinct on most bass. It's just,
it looks so exactly like our sound bar on the bottom.
Yeah.
What do you call that? What do you call that thing? It's like when you talk and you see like the sound waves.
Yeah. The audio, it's like an audio print.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Audio print. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops. God damn. I keep bumping this shit.
I didn't even hear it till the second time there. I don't know.
I keep seeing the screen, like the camera too goes.
Oh yeah. On YouTube. Like, I hope you're not watching this in VR. You'll get a little sick from that.
Ooh.
Okay. So they're green on top. They have that like pulse, like that audio mark line going through the center of them usually. And then they have that bright white belly on them. It's almost always what a bass looks like, right?
Yep. When you get them in the wild.
Oh, go ahead. What's that?
When you get them in the wild, for whatever reason, after you catch them and you put them in captivity, their backs get a little bit lighter colored and they start to look a little bit more like a watermelon.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why the color changes, but it happens a lot. When you catch one, it can be like perfectly dark.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's like the stress of it or whatever. It's like its version of blushing or something, or like the fish is feeling flushed, or that's what it looks like when a fish gets pale. Like, I'm not feeling so hot.
Sure.
I just fought you for 20 minutes and now you stuck me in a box.
So yeah, in the live well, you're saying in the live well, like if you put them in the live well, they tend to change color.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see them like that out in the wild too. Sometimes they will look like that. Maybe it is just a shallow water thing. But
if you catch it and then it changes color. Oh, I get what you're saying though. Like maybe the pigment changes that quickly.
Well, but I mean, like sometimes I've seen them look a little bit like that without me catching them. I guess there's a possibility that another angler caught it recently. But yeah, I don't know what causes it or why.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a thing where they look like that sometimes just because. But I have seen it before where I've caught a fish, put it in the live well, saw it a little bit later and just been like, oh, damn, look at that. It's all watermelon-y.
Damn, dude, that's crazy. Yeah, I had no idea. This is the first time I'm hearing about that. And it's got to be, there's something to the difference in the depth of water that they live in. There's definitely something to that, or at least the environment that they live in, because some of these motherfuckers are dark, like damn near black.
Well, I've seen the other way around too. I think we've talked about it on the podcast too. I think the watercolor a lot of times has something to do with it.
Yeah.
It seems to me in the clearest of waters is when they get dark, and the murky waters, sometimes they'll be really light. I've seen some very, very light colored bass too before, where they're not even that green. And I don't know if maybe that's just like they're not as healthy. There's a possibility too that their diet plays a role in it, like a flamingo does,
Yeah.
They're not munching on the certain stuff, and they're just
I should have I should have researched this.
Color.
Should have talked to you first and then did some research.
But it happens with all the different species. It seems to happen less with crappie and stuff, but like with walleye is the same. Like you can catch some that are just like super light colored and some that are way darker.
Right.
So, but the big ones seem to be darker a lot. Hence Sega's Black Bass.
Yeah. Black Bass was on Nintendo.
Yeah. Was it on Nintendo?
Yeah. The first one was on Nintendo. I think Black Bass in general made its way across multiple platforms, but
for whatever reason, all the old fishing games all say Sega to me. Like, they just feel like Sega to me. I don't know.
That's fine. But Sega. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of different colors, but they're very distinct. Now we'll get in one day about the striped bass and black bass and whatever, but let's not do that today. Let's move past that. This is the part that I'm really excited. Not excited. I wouldn't say excited, but this is the part that one of the parts I was looking forward to, habitat, because they inhabit clear lakes or clear body of water, vegetated bodies of water, ponds, swamps, backwaters, pools, creeks, rivers,
everything.
And you want to know what else I looked up?
What's that?
As long as it's well oxygenated water.
Yep.
They even hang out in brackish water sometimes.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I was like, dude, so the only place they don't live is brackish water. And then I did some further research and it's like, no, they can hang out in some brackish water. So it's probably the real fresh end of where the estuary starts. But like,
sure.
Yeah. Even brackish.
Which means a little salty. For those of you not familiar.
Yep. Thank you.
But yeah, that's gnarly. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. I'm glad I could bring something to the, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I was hoping for, things like that.
Because I've never fished any of like the coastal areas, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I've never fished any, like freshwater that went to brackish for bass. I fished down close, but that is still pretty gnarly, crazy stuff. Had no idea.
Yeah,
now I'm interested in.
Yeah, I know, to like how far. And I didn't do this research, but it does make me wonder, like, how far, like, what's the closest to the ocean anybody's ever snapped a largemouth out of the water?
Right. Like, yeah, that's a very good question. I am curious as well.
I'm gonna write that down and say, like, closest to ocean. Is that how you would Google something like that?
Yeah, I don't even know how you do it. Maybe even just ask the question, have bass been found in the ocean?
Oh yeah, maybe.
And then maybe Google will be like, although bass have never been found in the ocean, one was like real close.
One was like real close. So anyways, about habitat in general is, you can find them anywhere. They adapt fucking super well in these freshwater situations. It's just like, put a largemouth bass in there. It got me saying black bass now. Put a largemouth bass in there. It's probably going to be fine.
Yep.
And I have the coverage map in.
They do well in ponds too. There's a lot of places.
Oh yeah, go.
You can stock your own stuff. I know that there's like rules on it. I know certain places you need permits. I think some of the down south stuff is a little bit more lax on that. But a lot of people throw a largemouth bass in a pond, and they're like, my wife's aunt and uncle had a spot with a little pond in the back, and I caught like a 3-pounder out of there.
Damn,
and one of the neighbors was like, let me get a picture of that. Like, I didn't know that there was fish like this in here. And it's just like, yeah. I mean, nobody tried, but I'm over at their house and I have fishing gear. You can't stop me from, I'm going to throw something. Like, let's see if something bites this. But yeah, like a 3-pounder, like that thing was in there for a while. So there wasn't people out there feeding it. You know, it's getting a food source. Even there might not be other fish in there, but there's bugs and there's frogs. They make do.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So Yeah. Crazy stuff, dude.
Yeah.
It's you just put them in there and you don't even have to try hard as long as they don't deal with the winter freeze, which is something down south you definitely don't have to worry
Right. You
about.
don't have to. Yeah. And that's like how you hear about them so prevalent in golf courses. Like down south golf courses,
Yeah.
they're just like, yeah, there's largemouth bass in there, whatever. There is.
Right.
It seems so fucking nonchalant, casual, just like everybody knows, yeah, that's just a thing.
Right.
That's my perception as a northerner, but
I know my perception too is that there's like big ass bass in some of those ponds too. I hear some people talk about it where they're just like, I would prefer to fish just ponds. Like I don't want to go on the lake. And I think part of it too is because you don't have to dissect the pond. You can walk around and make casts on the whole thing.
Oh,
you know,
in a
where it's
like in a few hours, you
Yeah.
can have covered the whole pond.
exactly
Yeah.
3
Okay.
different lures cast all over the place. If there's a fish in there and you're the only one to bring a couple of lures in there, there's a good chance you got of catching a giant.
Right.
Where in a big lake down south where bass are bigger but less prevalent, there's not as many on average. I think it's a little bit harder to find, like, from what I have heard, because I'm not real familiar with fishing southern lakes myself, is that we're kind of blessed up here that like it's just a blast going out to fish for bass here.
Really?
Because we can catch so many of them, where they catch bigger ones than us, but they don't catch the numbers that we do.
Oh,
So,
shit.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I assumed they were just murdering them down there because they never hibernate, because they never shut down.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I just assumed
they
it
never
was like,
really. Yeah, no, I think you are dealing with that. They just don't have the same numbers, and I don't know
interesting
what that's about. I don't know why there would be less, especially when all the research shows that bigger fish can lay more eggs.
Oh yeah. We'll get into that for sure. So
Yeah,
maybe it's just harder to pick it apart down there. Maybe the cover's different. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, maybe there are just less fish because well, we'll get into the eating habits, but maybe that's part of it. Maybe they just don't hang around as long.
Yeah, they definitely have different cover down there because they're allowed to use man-made cover.
Oh, right.
And I don't know which states you got to go to do that, but Minnesota, that's not a thing. You can't just go throw in your own man-made cover, which is weird because if you go to like a Cabela's catalog or whatever, or Bass Pro Shops, same shit these days, open it up. They have structure that you can buy in there. Just big like fake PVC pipe.
Yeah.
Christmas tree looking
things.
Does
it say does not ship to Minnesota?
Does not say that. There's weird. The Alabama rig is also illegal here because we don't allow you to cast it out with all those different hooks and
have
stuff.
Multiple hooks. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that you could buy there, and they'll still ship it here, I think.
Yeah. I suppose
like, whatever.
Like, you can't really. You never know why somebody wants it, but I also wonder if you can
taking a trip.
Because you could do it to your own pond too. Like if you got land with a pond on it, you could stock
Oh yeah,
I'm
sure you could throw in, if you own it or it's a private lake or whatever, I'm sure there's some rules.
Right.
Where you can
do that's right. Private lakes are a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the habitat quick. I mean, we're talking about habitat and structure and stuff like that, but I got the map on the dock, and this, dude, it's crazy. There's like no spots according to the Fish and Wildlife game like that are in the center of the country. There's like just nothing almost. It's like Tornado Alley, if you know what that is, if you're familiar with the United States, like eastern Texas, Louisiana, straight up the gut into Minnesota. There's a whole bunch of it. And then it kind of tapers off a little bit, and it gets hot again in like New England, and it gets hot down south as you get into like Alabama and South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, of course. Crazy there. Go out to the West Coast, stacked from Washington to the Baja Peninsula. Just, it's full. Middle of the country, those square farmlands, there's like, they ain't shit there. Montana has one spot in it. What the fuck?
That is, I did not know that either. What are those symbols?
They're just like spots. It's like, so what you're looking at is the fish and wildlife map.
Yeah.
Of just like where largemouth are.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like Kansas City and Missouri don't fish?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, dude.
They do a little bit. But not really.
South Dakota, North Dakota, they're like blank.
Well, they have walleyes, but I suppose people do go over there just to fish walleyes.
And bass was in South Dakota, just off of 212 there.
Yeah. So I mean, some of this stuff they must have them, but they're just not as well known.
Yeah, it just must be so few in comparison. That's what I'm saying. Is like, dude, there's like I thought, based on what I just said about the habitat, right?
Yeah.
Clear water, vegetated water, murky water, swamps, backwaters, everything.
Yeah.
You think this fish would just be fucking...
Yeah,
there's water, I'm there. But according to that map,
gnarly.
Not so much, huh?
But it is kind of like, when I think about some of these other states, you know, like Wyoming and Montana and stuff, those are like fly fishing country, you know? They're all fishing streams and stuff.
Right.
I wonder if that's what you got going on in some of these other states, where you're just like, yeah, we just fish all the streams. But yeah, I don't know. That's nuts. Or you just don't have good, you know, some of these are like mountain ranges and you just don't have a good spot for water to sit.
For sitting water. Yeah. Because even though, you know, they're in streams and rivers and stuff like that, it's still calmer waters, right?
Yeah.
You like,
dude,
because what would you say? Like, fly fishing is good moving stuff, like trout and shit like that are swimming up current, against the current, you know. Right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Dude, that's crazy that there's like almost nothing on like Kentucky and Missouri and stuff too.
I know, because I was wondering if that's probably where the Appalachians are getting steep.
Dude, why is there nothing on Michigan?
Look at that. Like, nothing around Michigan.
There's bass fishing in Michigan. That's where Kevin Van Dam's from.
Oh, there you go.
They got smallmouth fishing in the Great Lakes.
But yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is it just the smallmouth though that got Van Dam his start? And then
maybe,
you know,
that's crazy.
We're not saying that this map is 100% coverage, right? Like, we're not taking this as the gospel of like, this is the only place they live. I think what we're saying about this map is there is a clear cut line of where these fish are popping.
Right. True.
And it's like there's East Coast, West Coast, dead center. And then there are these like desert areas. And based on where they live or what they're capable of living in as far as bodies of water, it's like, I just thought it would be easy. Are we that ignorant to water, being from the land of 10,000 lakes, where we're just like, doesn't everywhere just fucking have lakes?
I think we do. Yeah. Not really think about it either, where I every once in a while I've thought about like, you know, moving to a warmer climate. But then I'm like, but do all these other places have a lake like every 10, 15 minutes? Because I don't want to go someplace where I can't just be like, I heard that lake's not doing so well. We'll just go the other way, the opposite direction for the exact same amount of time.
Right.
And hit another lake.
And there will be one there for us.
Or we'll go to this lake, and if that doesn't work out, we'll cross the road to the other lake.
Yeah, we'll just walk over and try that one.
We'll just try that one. If this one's not going well, or if it's busy, we'll just go to the lake right next door.
Right.
You know, like I don't like the idea of some places where the lakes are all over the place. But looking at this too, I was thinking, kind of giggling to myself with like, oh, Utah doesn't have anything. But it's like, those guys are like, I got 5 wives. You think I got time to fish?
If you are from those squares in the middle of the United States, Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, things like that, hit us up in the comments. We want to hear about it because I think we might be pulling a little bit of the like, water's everywhere up here. Bass are everywhere. No big deal. So please hit us up in the comments. Come email us, RealAFTV. Remember, Real Like Fishing, realaf.tv/contact. Because seriously.
Also, or if you're not from those areas or whatever, but you do follow like the bass circuit, any one of them, MLF,
right? Yeah,
any of that stuff, and you know that there's guys from these states that don't really have any big popping areas. Oh, that I would be interested to see too.
Right.
Like, how did somebody come from a state where they didn't fish for it at all?
Right.
And all of a sudden they're just like elite.
Yeah.
You know, that I would be interested to see.
Yeah. That's a really good one. That's a really good one. Okay. Let's get into spawning. Oh yeah. Here we go. Let's get into spawning. No, the reason why spawning is next on my list is because habitats lead to spawning. But the way that you said it, Tim, earlier is like, I wanted to jump right into it, but I was like, hold on. I know we got more about habitat. Now, because you said, which anybody who's fishing knows, if you're new to fishing, welcome. You found the right place, I hope. There is just like scientific fact, big fish lay tons of eggs.
Yes.
Just the way it is, right? So you were saying down south, it seems like the populations of a largemouth aren't as high down there. They may not be as high. You've heard from in your experience. You've heard that, and it's true. I mean, the article went on and gave numbers and all this other, they're like the few places I saw, they like give numbers and they're like, oh, it could lay 5,000 to 40,000 eggs. It's like, holy shit, man.
Right.
That's a lot of eggs.
Well, and now looking back on it too, after I said that, I did start thinking kind of as we moved on to the next topics and stuff that maybe water temperature has something to do with it. Maybe because we're cooling down and it's warming up and they have like an ideal temperature to kind of like incubate them and help them get rolling and stuff.
Right.
Maybe the waters down south can get too hot too quick.
Yeah. And they don't spawn some years, maybe. The spawn doesn't go well. Maybe
the spawn doesn't go like it's supposed to because it's too hot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, maybe the bass doesn't know it's supposed to lay eggs. Just like, this heat's got me bloated. It's just like, you gotta go dump those eggs, girl. But I don't know. Or maybe the babies don't handle it well. The fry can't handle it. Maybe they have different predators down there that are
that just eat the fry up quicker than maybe up here gets done.
Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of questions that I have.
Well, you make a good point about
that one,
about the water though, because there is an ideal range and it's 59 to 75 degrees for spawning.
Right.
So like,
see, but
75
degrees is still like crazy, dude. 75 is like, I mean, when we get the waters into like the 80-degree temperatures, that's hot as shit for Minnesota. So like,
oh yeah,
that we don't hit that 75 for a long time normally.
Not up
I know
here.
Last year was kind of like a weird year where it got hot quick and it heated up fast as shit.
Yeah.
And that was a weird one because I know, if you go back to last week's podcast and see how we were talking about the goals and stuff, one of them was to fish the pre-spawn crappie, and last year that just didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was like frozen till it was hot.
Yep.
It was weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, dude. That's a couple of things during this podcast I have not really thought about until all of a sudden we talk about it and then I just go, oh shit.
Yeah, which I love because again, I was a little intimidated to bring this up because you have years and years of experience of actually hunting these things, and now I know, like I said, we're going to talk about the species itself, but the idea behind talking about the species is that as the fisher, you learn more and you learn different ways to go after them then, right? And that's why we do these types of podcasts, these species podcasts like this. So you probably already know this one with the like spawning areas. They need a firm bottom, sand, mud, gravel. But like, see, sand, mud, gravel. It's like if it's calm, it's cool.
Yeah.
Sand, mud, gravel. Like you're gonna lay eggs.
Yeah, they like a protected bay is a big part of it.
Okay.
A lot of times, like sand, mud, gravel. Yeah, it's like everything. What doesn't it?
That's
want?
like what the bottom of a lake can be. It's like the three things it can be.
What
Rusty
did they
car.
not? Yeah, right. What did they not list? Just like they're not into extremely matted vegetation, like where there's nothing. But even then, they still are, because once the vegetation grows out of whatever that soil is,
right,
and they go down there and they fan the spawning bed with their tail.
Oh,
so even in the shittiest black bottom bays where it's like all dead decaying shit on the bottom, the crappies too will go and like fan away all the bullshit because they know what's underneath it.
Oh, damn.
How? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, but they'll make themselves a little spawning bed in the mucky shit. Like I've walked in some of these spots before, and no thanks, icky toes. I don't like it.
It's gross. It's so fucking gross. It feels so nasty. I kind of got the shivs just even thinking about that sensation on my toes.
Yeah, I've literally been like on a jet ski and had some issues with like sucking up some weeds.
Yep.
And I'm like, we're gonna paddle this over to that shoreline because I'm not trying to walk on this shoreline. Like, we're close to that shoreline, but I am going out of my way to not walk on this shit.
Right. Damn, dude, that's crazy. Oh, and the fanning out of the nest too. They said pizza sized in this U.S. fishing. They said pizza sized, and I'm like, that you could just say round. It's cool. They make a round bed,
just round, or give an estimate, because whose pizza?
Whose pizza? It's not a pan pizza. It can't be personal pizza.
Yeah, that's talking about that personal. Minutes. Yeah, you talking about that personal pizza I got when I was a kid from reading enough books, or are you talking about the pizza I get now when it's game day because I'm in charge?
Because I'm in charge. Oh God, that's awesome. Nothing special about this. The way the females lay their eggs, they go around bed to bed. That's a nice bed. That's a nice bed. That's what they do. Males hang out and protect it. This was crazy to me.
Yeah.
So the mature males, once they've done their thing, they will eat other fries that they encounter.
Yeah. You talking about other fries from like other bass?
Yeah, like other largemouth bass. So like,
yeah,
you've talked about. Do you want to talk about how they nest up like kind of next to each other, but they'll also beat the shit out of each other if they nest up to each other?
Yeah, dude. So it's like they're like territorial, but they're also stupid as shit. So they don't have the reasoning skills of like knowing that, like, if they see a bass, like, all right, here's an example. There's a log, right? Or a lay down, depending on where you're from. Like, that's just a log that's like in the water. It could be whatever. Just picture structure. Maybe even say it like this for picturing it. There's a wall in the water, like a half wall. And that bass, there can be a bass on one side that has a bed and a bass on the other side that has a bed. And they can be right next to each other. But they don't want to be next to each other. They just don't know that they're that close because of that wall.
Right. And a thin wall. I mean, you're talking like a tiny little piece of particle board even
Oh
wall.
yeah. It's just so they can't see each other.
Yep.
If they swim up to grab some food or do whatever they're doing and they see each other, they'll be like, "Oh shit, bro." And then like swim back down to their bed. But they won't, like if there wasn't that wall there, those bass would not spawn next to each other. They'd be
Right.
good like 50 feet away from each other, so they're not spawning in the same area. But you
Right.
put that divider there, it's game on. I've made the comparison to like bathroom stalls.
Yeah.
Like
I love that one.
like I am not comfortable peeing in the troughs that they have. But you give me a wall, I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you. Give me a divider, I don't give a shit. You can be right next to me.
And it's all cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so with that, when the other fries, it's like, so a female will go around and lay on a nest every few days. So you got to think 2 of them close that would be fertilized at the same time or roughly the same time. There's enough out there probably. So then the males hang around for a few weeks and they wait for the fry to get pigment. And then they school up the fries, the baby fish, they school up and they get their pigment and then they take off. And that takes, could take a couple weeks for that to happen. And then that's when the male will take off too. And the fry typically go into weeds, nearby vegetation and shit like that. And they go to hide and hang out and eat plankton. And if that male, those 2 males next to each other, see, or like, those 2 males next to each other, and one's leaving its nest and the other one has fries, swim away or whatever. Like the one would eat the other's fry. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. If it encountered it, it does not give a shit that they're largemouth. It's like instinct is to kill other largemouth fry. Just doesn't care. I'm going to eat them.
They don't, not the reason, but the fact that most of the different species are game with that is one of my biggest arguments of just being like, but if you're gonna kill a fish or whatever, are you kidding me? Look how dumb they are. They will eat their own kind. They murder their own kind constantly. Not only will they eat fry like other babies, they will eat their own babies at a certain point in time. Not immediately.
No.
But I've always pictured it of them like playing hide and seek. Like they're just like watching the fry and then they're just like 20, 21, 22. Ready or not, here I come. And then they just fuck them all up. And like, you've had enough time with me.
You've had enough time. I'll fucking eat you if I see you now.
I'm ready, dude. I was watching you for a while, but now game on. You should know better.
Just saying, you should know better.
There is no raising the babies back then. It's just like, I am the big fish. You are completely helpless right now. Right. And I will save you from even the smallest fish can come and kill you. Yeah. And as soon as they get slightly bigger, that bass is just like, well, you're on your own now. Do your best. Also, if I see you, I'm going to fucking kill you. Just like, that's how our world is.
That's the bass world we live in.
You better eat a bunch and get bigger or die.
So, this is one thing about the big fish and letting them go, because we've talked about it before. Catch a big fish, especially female, you let it go, of certain, size and whatever. Like there's a certain kind of code to it where, hey, if you're out here kind of fishing around and you catch a big female, you probably put it back. They take 2 years. Largemouth bass females take 2 years to reach spawning age. That's a long time. Males, 3 to 4 months. I mean, shit, by the end of summer, they're like, let's go.
Yeah.
So they're good for the next season, but females 2 years about.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was super surprised.
That was something I wasn't familiar with either. But when they're small, it's not easy to tell if they're girls when they're big either. It's
Yeah,
just that
I don't know how to tell
the
unless they
ladies
egg.
just seem to get bigger than the males. So if you catch a big fish, most likely it's a
Yeah,
female,
right,
and you put it back. And not a lot of people eat bass anyways,
right.
but they're not hard to catch. So
Which is why they're America's favorite sport fish, I have to imagine, right?
right, yeah, because I mean, even a bad day, you got a good chance at catching a bass.
Mm,
Like
mhm.
when nothing is going right for the walleye, that's a shit day, dude. You can go out and not catch a single fish. Same with crappie. Like you got to find the school.
Right.
Like how you were saying that the bass are literally everywhere. When you go into a lake, anywhere you think that they would be, there's a good chance that there are some. But
There's at
that's what
least a
makes
few.
it. That's what
Yeah.
makes the competition so much funner. Is that your job is to go as a professional is to go out there and figure out where the biggest ones are on that lake. How can I
Right.
put the most of the biggest fish in the boat?
Right.
So
And that's the catch. It's not finding them, it's finding where the big ones would be
right,
and then doing that over and over.
exactly.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah.
this that leads me to the size and stuff section where they're voracious eaters
Mm-hmm.
and they're
Yeah, they are.
ambush too. Like they're
They're the
ambush
only
predators.
yeah. They're the only fish that utilizes all the only freshwater fish that utilizes all the different types of hunting.
Oh,
Like where it's like stalking, their ambush, they'll just
nice.
chase you down.
Oh.
So
Mhm.
they'll go sheer speed sometimes. That's why like all the different types of retrievals and lures work. You can
Okay.
burn it on the surface
Mhm.
and they'll chase that fucker down sometimes. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes when it's a bright day and they're next to the dock, they're waiting in that shadow to
Mhm.
come out and hit something. That's why
Mhm.
when you're working something along that shadow line, it works. Some days they're stalking the prey where they'll just follow it for a while.
Mm.
Like the jerk bait when it gets a little bit colder and you're
Mhm.
just working it and pausing it.
Mhm.
Some days they don't necessarily want to eat it, but they're right there following it, thinking about it. They're
Mhm.
just like, you make the wrong move today, bro. I'm gonna smash you. It's there, and I forget. There's like two other types of hunting. One of them is opportunistic, where some of the other
Mm.
fish. If
I
you
got you. Took me a second.
if you ever seen this, if you're on a dock here in Minnesota,
Mhm.
sometimes when you're on a dock where they have muskies, there are big fish, and you can put a lure directly in that fish's face, and it won't always eat it.
Okay.
It's like the thrill of the hunt, like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park,
Mhm.
where you're just like, he wants to chase his prey. I don't know if that's what it is, but there have been many times I have seen a muskie on the dock
Mhm.
and pull the lure right past its face or slightly close to it, and it doesn't move an inch. I
Mhm.
have caught a couple like that, but when
Sure.
I see a bass, almost without fail, if I see a bass and it doesn't see me,
Mhm.
so I don't scare it, if
Mhm.
I pop a bait a couple of times to make it look like something's dying and it falls in front of it,
Mhm.
it'll just kind of like turn its head and just, you know, give it a quick see, just suck it in its mouth real quick, because it's like, whatever, it's right there. Why wouldn't I eat it? You know?
Right, right. Voracious eaters. That's literally the
Yeah,
word that they used. Is like
yeah.
they're just going. They're just always eating.
Always. That's what.
Except for during spawning. So that was
Mm,
actually my question is or that was going to be one of my questions. And I think you've explained this before, but now we're doing the largemouth podcast. So
hmm
why is it good to fish during spawn then?
Well,
Or why is the fishing good during spawn?
it's because of where they're at. The big girls are up in the shallows, roaming around looking for spots.
Okay.
So some of those big fish are harder to find in the summer. and like, you know, they're moving other spots.
Okay.
Those big girls are up in the shallows, moving from spot to spot, so they're on the move. So you have a good chance of big fish being up there. Well, plus you know where they are. So also, like, they're just that opportunistic feeder, and they don't always eat. But also, if you put something in their face and make it look like an easy meal, they have this natural instinct to just eat it. If it looks like it's an easy meal and it's in front of their face, sometimes they just can't help themselves. They just go, well, shit, yeah, I gotta protect these fry, but if nobody's looking, you know, just...
right. So I think so I would say that this comment of they don't eat during spawning is probably like,
well,
unless it's swimming by, like they're not out trying to eat voraciously like they always are, like their natural behavior is.
Yeah, but you can still get them to eat and you know where they are.
Right.
And the other thing is too, sometimes they will be on their spawning bed and they will actually come and grab a lure. Like if you put like a jig or like a Texas rigged, you know, soft plastic or whatever to look like some sort of a creature that's like kind of going into their bed. Sometimes they'll come and eat that, not to eat it like it's mad. I've heard people saying, I haven't witnessed it personally because I haven't, you know, went out and like documented this, but I've heard some of the pros talking about it in some other places where a fish will literally come up, suck in the bait because it's on the spawning bed, and like turn around and swim like 2 feet and just spit it back out.
Like it's defending the bed almost.
It's almost just being like, no, you can't be here.
Yeah. You don't belong here because this is for only my fry. Get out of here.
And honestly, for a fisherman, who cares what their intention is? He put the lure in his mouth. That's all we need.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So that's it. Where some of that stuff does feel a little bit shitty. You know? He's just like, I'm just protecting my baby. And I'm just like, I'm ripping your fucking lips off and pulling you up to bed. But it's also, there's so many different numbers and stuff, and they're just not that bright. It's everything will be fine. It all works out. But there are rules to stop you from doing it too early anyways, to give them a good chance.
Yes, for sure. There's regs in place, and of course. 100%. Yep. It's not like or going out during spawning best time and trying to just pick them off beds. No. There's a lot of research that DNR. Yeah, exactly. Not to make it sound to anybody that might be new and trying this fishing thing, you know, or even trying to fish, you know, ethically or whatever you want to say to make sustainably. Maybe. Can you say the word sustainable on the internet right now without getting your ass handed to you? I don't know. Leave a comment.
Maybe.
Okay. So this was pretty cool about the size and their eating patterns and things like that. They don't feed much when the water is below 41 degrees. Remember how I was like, why doesn't I think we did a whole topic of like, how come bass fishing, ice fishing is not a thing?
Yeah, it's kind of rare. It's one of those things again where it's like the opportunistic side of them will eat it if you get on top of them, but they're not actively like hunting for the most part.
Where northerns and shit are, like they're still out moving around under the ice.
Oh yeah, northerns are monsters. If northerns got way bigger, we'd be in trouble, dude, because they're just out there eating all the time.
There's a reason a tiger muskie is called a tiger muskie, and it's not because it looks like orange and black stripes.
Right. Dude, can I go off real quick just on a short? If praying mantis were bigger, oh my God, dude, we'd be so fucked. I just saw a video of a praying mantis eating a hummingbird that it snatched by just sitting on the hummingbird feeder, and the hummingbird got close to the feeder and it just snatched it and pulled it in.
No,
the hummingbirds gotta weigh quite a bit more than that,
dude.
And they're fast as shit, and he just grabbed it, pulled it in, and just slowly ate it.
Holy shit. Hummingbirds are so fucking fast. How did it? Oh my
Oh
God.
no, dude. Random side note, but if they were
Holy
bigger, we would
shit.
be screwed, dude.
Oh my God.
That's why, like, if you ever seen the movie Starship Troopers, where
Oh
it's all
yeah.
those bugs,
Bugs.
when those bugs come running over the hill and they're all shooting them, trying to like win, I'm just like, bullshit, dude. I know you try to act like there's a way to win this war, but there's no fucking chance in hell. Not with the weapons that you're using, with the missiles and stuff that we can shoot now and the drones, and not actually having to put the soldiers out on the front lines, but having just throwing people in that movie on the front lines at those giant bugs.
Bugs.
Just watch that, like, no chance, dude. They would
No
just
chance.
light us up. No way. No way in hell. And those guys are just running around like, yeah, I want to be part of it. I'm going to go kill some bugs. Like, how are you guys enthusiastic? You're all going to die.
You're all gonna die.
You have no chance. This is such a bad idea.
Well, oh fuck, I got all dried. Speaking of the size though, that's a good thing to talk about. The size. North, south. There's a big difference here because of their eating habits.
Yes, we take ours diet, basically.
Oh yeah, right. Because what I just said, they don't feed much when the water's below 41.
Yeah, and because of that, our fish actually live longer on average.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Go
maybe
off.
there's another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, maybe their fish down there get bigger, but if we're talking about the females here,
Mm-hmm.
or just in general, the females don't reach that sexual maturity to until they're 2 years. Oh, I, I, okay. Don't get mad at me, anybody, if we're talking about fat shaming or whatever. But I was thinking, like, down there, by the time they hit 2, they're fat and gross, and they can't find a mate. They're huge already. Everybody's just like, ugh. I'm a fat guy. It just made me giggle. But anyways, yeah, maybe that does really have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Where it's, if they're, constantly eating too, maybe they don't focus on the eggs as much down there. Maybe they don't spawn as much just because their habits are a lot different. Where it never gets
because they're
quite as
just like
cold.
constantly eating and like always, like they never take a break eating. So I wonder if that has, like, that's what it seems like, because there's so much bigger down there. I mean, dude, the average size of a largemouth bass is 16 inches.
Yeah.
The largest one is 22 pounds and 4 ounces in Georgia. 22 pounds. A fucking cat.
Absolutely massive. Those fish are so damn big that they look like they have the bends. You ever seen the fish the fish that have the sea fish that have the bends when they pull them up from
Cod,
like
usually.
way down far in the ocean?
The
and
nets. It's like the cod net. Like drag net cod fishing.
Yeah.
And their
And
eyes
then you pull
fucking
them up. Yeah, because the pressure difference, they're like popping on their head. That's like the bass. They're not that deep. But they have their eyes are like bulging out because they overeat so much that their eyes are popping out of their face. It's nuts. But yeah, maybe that does. I mean, maybe it's even making them like more regular up here, where like our fish just have that routine down pat. They're like, in the springtime I spawn. Summer warms up a little bit. I eat a little bit more, but I kind of just chill because I don't want to go, I find a good spot in the weeds, or I go deeper because I don't like it when it gets too hot. When it cools down a little bit more, I really strap on the feed bag because I know the cold's coming, and I know I'm going to be lethargic, and I'm not going to want to do shit. And then when it gets real cold, I just kind of do my thing under the ice. And then when it warms up again, I poop out some eggs. But down south, I don't know. Maybe it's just where they're just like, I think it's like a little bit colder now.
Right.
But I don't know. But I think it's getting warm again or something. I don't know. Where they're just they don't.
Like if it throws off the cycle a little bit, or some of them don't pick up on the cycle as easily or something.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
don't
theory.
know.
I wonder.
And in Georgia, they're just like, I picture them just talking to each other, and just one of them's just like, "Betty, are you gonna spawn this year?" And then Betty's like, "I'm gonna eat till my eyes pop out of my fucking face." I'm not focused on having kids at all. I'm just
gonna eat till my eyes bulge. That's a new saying, just generally. Hey, we're going to the Chinese buffet tonight. I'm gonna eat till my eyes bulge out of my fucking head.
I eat so much, I look like one of those stupid big ass fish. Oh man, I'm trying to look like I got the bends. Oh.
This was weird. And I don't know if you know anything about the records, but the only source I could find for the largest in length was 38.2 inches. And this is the one big thing about bass, largemouth bass in particular. It is about the weight.
For sure. It's kind of weird. I also was thinking about that when you put the record 38.2. I'm just like, oh shit, I don't even know how long my longest bass is. I don't know if I've measured. It's all
see,
like about the weight.
It really
is. I think there have been a couple where I haven't had a scale and they have the average like estimate.
Oh,
so you'll
put a 12-inch bass on there, and then it'll give you like a 12-inch bass in your area's average weight is 2.2 ounces. I don't know. I'm making shit up.
Yeah. Well, I've had some of those where it's just like a 32-inch bass is like 4.5 to 5 pounds. And you're like, yeah, that's a good big fish.
Yeah.
But also that 22.5 pound fish, I guarantee you was not like some 45-inch long fish.
Oh, right.
That was just a tank.
Yeah. It was round as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it could have been like 40 inches, but that still would have been absolutely. What'd you say ours was 38.5?
No, this is like, so this right here, largest in weight, I could find multiple sources for, very well documented, that it was a 22-pound, 4-ounce bass out of Lake Montgomery, Georgia. And then the largest length bass, largemouth bass, 38.2 inches. This is supposedly the largest one on record, but only the U.S. Fish and Wildlife had that. Like, it was so hard to find. So if anybody has another source, please let me know.
That's crazy, because I'm like, I know that I've caught 32-inch bass before. So as far as the world record in length goes, I'm not that far off.
Right.
That's what's crazy about it.
Think about it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. You can go. I didn't really. That was pretty close to the end of the statement there.
I was just going to say, it's so weird to think about a 22-pound bass is the record largest bass. Up here where you fish, they don't get very big, not like that. In fact, the Minnesota record is 8 pounds and 15 ounces. So if you take that number, 8 pounds, you compare it to 22, and then you look at the length being 38.2 as the length record for a bass, and you go, well, I've actually caught like 32.
Right.
It's like, holy shit. Think about how round that fish has to be to go from 8 pounds to 22.
Just such a freaking tank, dude. Just a tank.
Huge. So huge. It's amazing. And the 8 pounds, 15 ounces actually was caught in my area down here in the West Metro. We've talked about that, I think, before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I told you I was fishing. That was one of my fishing mistakes. Anyways, go look at that website, that episode, the True Fishing Stories. So, anyways, that was all I had. I wanted to just talk about the record sizes and stuff here at the end, and I love your comparison of, oh no, I've caught like 30
Oh,
something.
I must.
That was so good.
So as we do sometimes, we do our like fact checking
Yeah.
on the fly when I
Live
say some
research.
shit and I go, hold on a second. Am I right on this? I don't know. I feel like 32. Now I've caught like a 32-inch walleye.
Oh, you're mixing up your walleye and your bass size. Okay.
Yeah, and I was thinking that they were bigger. It's showing that like a 20-inch bass is like the equivalent of 5 pounds. So
Oh, okay.
like our state record would have been in the realm of like 24 to 26.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure I did catch a 22, and they're saying the 21 and a half is like the equivalent of like 6.21.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Some of my fish have been pretty big, but I haven't had a scale. I need to get a scale.
I need to get tape. I don't even have any measuring right now, which
I know, dude. It's like that's one of the things. I'll have everything when I have a good, decent boat that has everything set up. It'll be all right there, ready to roll.
mm-hmm.
I have a decent tape now in my tackle box.
Mm-hmm.
But depending on what I'm doing for the day, I don't always bring the whole tackle box, you know.
Oh, right.
I'll just bring a couple of things that I need, or I actually have like more than one tackle box. So I'll just be like, I'm just bringing this tackle box, and I should have a tape in each one.
Right.
But like my biggest muskie, that one was caught randomly when I wasn't prepared for it.
Uh-huh.
And I just kind of like held it up and we just kind of eyeballed it and then looked at like where the nose was lined up and where the tail went to later. And then I was just like, well, that's at least a 50-inch fish for sure.
Nice.
But
mm-hmm. But you didn't have tape on you.
Couldn't tell you exactly what it was. So
right.
people are just like, what's your biggest? And I go, well, funny story, didn't have tape, but I do have video and pictures. So
right. So you can
it
kind of measure it out.
happened, but I can't tell you exactly.
Yeah. And on that note, actually, before we wrap up the fishing topic here, do you know how they're regulated? I forgot to look that up, and I'm just thinking of it now. Because when I go fishing when I get out to go fishing for pike again,
Yeah.
I'm going to need the tape because there's a slot limit.
Oh, yeah.
Is that how it is for bass, though, too? Because even though our records are primarily based on weight, our regulations have to be based on length, right?
Oh, yeah. The regulations are based on length for sure.
Okay.
But I don't know if they have any on that because, like, at least for me, I don't know what those regulations are because I've never had to worry about it.
Oh,
because
sure.
Small or big, it's getting put back, you know, for the most part.
Right.
If it's a medium-sized one, if I'm looking to get some eaters, I'm keeping it. But I don't think there is. I think the regulation is just a number. With bass, I think you can do whatever you want. It's just kind of like an unwritten thing where if you catch a big bass, you should put it back. But nobody says you can't take it. And certain waters, you can't keep them. But that's it. It's like a lot of times 6 is the limit with bass. And you just keep whatever you want.
Sure.
You know, you just want some little ones to get, you know.
Well, because again, I think it probably comes down to because they're not really eaters. Like nobody really catches bass to eat them. You catch them every once in a while, throw them in with the crappie mix or whatever, right? Like a decent sized one. But it's not like people go, oh, I'm going bass fishing for food today. It just is not that common.
Right.
It's definitely not as common as just going bass fishing, which means you're just going out to catch bass and throw them back.
Right. As a whole, yeah.
Right.
I would say so. Because, I mean, I'm sure plenty of bass get caught because there's plenty of fishermen that go out to their local water, wherever they can get on, and they put live bait on a bobber and cast it out and keep whatever they catch.
Right.
Because they're just looking for some fish to eat.
Right.
So
I get what you're saying.
I think it happens a lot, but definitely not as much as just trying to go bass fishing does.
Right.
Because I see, like, when I go fishing on a lake, I see far more boats out there with me than I do people casting a line off the dock at the landing, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got you.
So,
all right.
Oops.
Whoa.
Sorry.
No, it wasn't that loud. I don't know. Maybe it'll show up
scared.
on your side, but I didn't hear that much. Anyways.
In real life, it scared me. I don't know if it came through on the mic, but
not too much. So I think you're good. So anyways, that's it, huh? That's largemouth bass for now.
I think so. Yeah, dude. I don't know.
There'll be more. There's definitely going to be more, man. Again, like we said at the beginning, America's world's most popular sport fish. You're not going to get away from it. Partially the reason why it took us so long to get to it. But that's it. Let's wrap it up and talk about some AI here in the second half, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Hit the brake.